David McKinnon.
David McKinnon.
非常にいいバッティングをしています。レフトへ伸びていくか、下がって食らいた、見上げた、デビッド・マキノン。
You know what we realized about Pacific Swings?
That we probably should have picked an easier name for the rest of the world to pronounce, dude.
Speak for yourself. But really, we keep finding these stories that just don't get told anywhere else. So stories about what actually happens when you cross the Pacific to play baseball.
Like maybe signing with the most famous team in Japan, becoming their opening day starter.
That sounds like it'd be worth an episode. I'm Jasper Spanjar, and this is Pacific Swings, the podcast that takes you into baseball global stage.
And I'm Dave McKinnon. Today we're talking with Tyler Beede, who we're not 100% sure because I'm just not a big baseball and history nerd, but we think he might be the first non-Japanese pitcher to start opening day for the Yomiuri Giants in his first year over there. 2023, the same year I was there, and the same year I was absolutely just tearing that league apart, raking. You were there, right?
I mean, raking is a bit of a stretch. Tyler was also a first-round pick in 2014 by the San Francisco Giants. This guy likes Giants, clearly. And made his MLB debut 4 years later against the Cardinals on April 10th.
He's a Giant forever. I'm just a big Lions guy, So, but anyway, a fun fact about Tyler. He grew up in Massachusetts as well as I did, which is kind of crazy. I knew Tyler because he's top prospect. He was the guy in Massachusetts. I was not. So I knew him. He didn't know me. I was nobody back then. So we can ask him about that later. But he's about 2 years older. And I remember he got drafted, I believe it was 14th overall. And then Tyler ends up marrying a girl from Texas. Tyler's got 2 kids. Tyler made the big leagues. Dave made the big leagues briefly. Both went overseas. Both married a girl from Houston. Both got 2 kids now. So yeah, we pretty much live the same life. That's pretty much what's going on. But anyway, Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Beautiful intro.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some good humor in there. I appreciated that.
A bit long-winded. Sorry for that. Dave gets
I get
ahead
going.
of
Don't get me going.
When Dave gets going, yeah. But Tyler, let's start with the obvious question. You signed with the Yomiuri Giants in 2023. Everyone sort of calls them the Yankees of Japan, right? Is that sort of accurate, or is it more complicated than that?
I think the most glaring resemblance to the Yankees at the time was that I had to look like you, clean-shaven Jasper. It wasn't the best look for me, and it was tough shaving every single day. So I'm more of a beard guy, a touch longer than what D-Mac has, and that was the most common trait there between the Yankees. And then, I would say travel too. We were suit and tie. We were very professional, always kind of needing to be in a nice suit. And I thought I had nice suits until I got around my Japanese teammates, and those guys were dressed to the nines. I mean, they had designer bags, they had beautiful watches, they had 3-piece suits. Those guys know how to dress. And I was a little bit behind in the style department, so I had to step my game up at some point over there. And then, I think the way you go about your business, the way you respect the manager, it was very professional and very much like the Yankees.
Hey, I think the crazy thing there, just to follow up with that thought, is those dudes can write off everything. Like they had these unbelievably expensive cars, but for their personal use, and they can write off everything. Like the tax system there was just much different. And they were trying to explain it to us when we were over there. And we're like, yeah, you get that bag. And they're like, yeah, I can write it off. Like their write-offs, they could just write everything off. So I thought that was crazy. So they had the most expensive things because they're like, well, I just don't get taxed on it. I'll just buy super expensive things and then I don't get taxed on it. So
Yes.
I don't know if they were doing it correctly, if they were breaking the law, not knowing the tax system over there, but that's how they did it. That's how
I just hope we haven't alerted the Japanese IRS at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
They were
Dave,
already listening in. They were already listening to this call. They knew we were up to something.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, no, that was a fun fact that I got there because they had some nice stuff. Like everything was designer.
You'll have to put the scene in from Up Schitt's Creek. It was like where the dad is trying to tell the son what a tax write-off is, and he.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you even know what a write-off is?
Yeah. It's when you buy something for your business and the government pays you back for it.
Oh, and who pays for it?
Nobody. You write it off.
That's really
Great
You're
hilarious.
about to take my job, okay? You can't be
Oh, hey,
writing too many fives.
trying to boost the show, man. It's a good plug.
Put the scene in. Yeah, thanks, Tyler. That's actually helpful. It just, yeah, we might get sued by Universal Studios too. That's great. No, let's do that. Um, what's the first thing that maybe like baseball or non-baseball could be either, but what was the first thing that made you realize that this wasn't just another NPB team? It's not just because I went to the Giants in 2023. I didn't get to see you pitch, but it seems very much like Japan's team to a certain degree. What makes it such a different team?
I mean, I think I realized it in spring training. It was like the amount of fans that we had at those stadiums and how loud the crowds were. I mean, they treated it like it was an opening day game. They treated it like it was a playoff game, which was so fascinating to me because in the States, I mean, you get a good amount of fans, I think, in, spring training, but it's not the same level of like electricity and care for the game. And so like the Giants fans, they traveled a lot. They traveled to all the games. Obviously, I think a lot of the fans travel well, but it seemed like Tokyo Dome was always exceptionally full. And I think you realized it because when we were over there, the World Baseball Classic was going on and all that stuff. So it was kind of a showcase of the fans and how they were over there. So that was probably the biggest thing was how they were during spring training.
I mean, I know with the Tokyo Dome, I played there against you guys, and then I also played a couple of the we rented it out one time, and we played SoftBank, the SoftBank Hawks, and we played them, and it was packed. All our fans, couple SoftBank fans, was our home game, and then we played Chivalote, the Marines, down there probably in July for their Summerfest, and it was the loudest I've ever heard it. Like I know regular season game, Giant fans are going to be there a lot, but like when one team rents it out for like the time they get to play at the Tokyo Dome, that place it was packed and it was the loudest I've ever heard a baseball field actually, which I wasn't in the big leagues as long as you, but.
You've been there. You've been there. That's all
No,
that matters.
but it's like not even, but it's not even close to like the level of fan engagement and how loud it can get at a Japanese field as it is the big leagues. Because like I went to a big league game a couple weeks ago, and hey, they're still great and they're fun, but they're a lot quieter, after 2 years
So true.
overseas.
Oh
So
yeah, crazy the difference. And I'll say indie ball, electric, pretty close to playing over. It's still a rung below.
yeah, just a rung below goes.
I gave up a run the other day, and I gave up a run the other day in Hagerstown, Maryland, and I thought, man, I can't hear myself think. It's so loud.
Yeah.
These fans are going nuts.
It's tough.
I'm not sure that the sarcasm translates to an audio track. That might
know.
be.
I know. Sarcasm. Insert sarcasm.
Is there sarcasm?
Sarcasm and laughter.
And after
But how did the Giants treat the foreign players, as in like the coaches and then like just the fans in general? Was there more pressure amongst on you because you were on the Giants? Was there more pressure because there was a lot more movement just in general with Giants players, like Japanese or foreign, like up and down all the time?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's such a good point. Yeah, I would say yes, there's a lot of probably palpable pressure between the manager, how the manager made you feel, you had to perform compared to how the fans made you feel. Like obviously a difference there. The expectation was that you were going to have the best year of your career or be one of the best pitchers in the league. And if that wasn't the case, then the decision was you're going down to the farm, you're going down to the second team, figure it out, make something work, reach your potential down there, and then we'll bring you back up or we'll change your role. And those things happen. I started obviously when I went over there, and then I think I made 5 starts and then got sent down, and I went 0-4, but I had like a 2.9 FIP. I was pitching really well. I was getting a ton of swing and miss. I was leading the league at one point in swing and miss, and I thought like throwing really well for the first 5 starts of the season, getting to a groove, and they were like, "No, it's not cutting it for us," because they care about the wins and losses of the pitcher's record more than that they care about ERA or anything like that because of the optics of it. And so that's what I learned right away, that it was kind of like, hey, you're going to need to perform, have quality starts every time out. And if your velocity isn't quite where it needs to be or what they expect of you, then you might be going down to the farm to work on some stuff.
Sounds like a tough deal, man. That doesn't sound like mentally it's very easy to deal with all of that. I feel because you're in a foreign country, you're not used to perhaps the communication style or just the way things are phrased. So for you,
Yes.
that can't have been easy.
Yes. No, and it happened so quick too. I remember I made a start, and immediately after the manager comes up, he's an intimidating guy, Haro-san, and then through my translator, he's basically just like, yeah, you're not pitching to your potential. You're going down to the other team, and I'm like, I remember being very very surprised by it. And then after I've been there for a long time, I understood kind of that's just what happens to everybody. Like no matter if you're a hitter hitting bombs, like Lewis Brinson was over there, he had a really
Mhm.
quality year, but he got sent down. There's just things that happen. The politics of the game exist in America, they exist overseas. I would say maybe a little bit less in Korea just because they are capped at 3 guys. And so, I guess when it comes into play over there, it's like you're going back home versus you're going to the minor
Yeah.
leagues. And so, I know you can relate to that. Yeah, sorry. Hit the pain point. But in
Bit
Japan,
of
it's
a-
like
Yeah, it's
That's a
like,
bit
I
of a
mean,
low
yeah, I mean,
blow.
you just go home.
you're hitting well. Thanks for making the All-Star team, but yeah, we're gonna
You
need you
know,
to exchange your services for somebody else.
yeah, we just don't have a spot for you any longer, and we'll
Yeah.
see you never. But
Yeah, it's a bit of
it
a
is what
what
it
a
is.
Which I don't know what the preference is, to be honest.
I do think that like just overseas in general, and there's nothing wrong with it, but they bring you over, they pay you a lot of money, and they expect that you are going to be the best player in the league. And the reality is, to it's a good talented league. Both leagues are good, lots of talent, and to adjust to like people you've never seen before and be able to just like be the greatest of all time against pitching I haven't seen before, against hitters you haven't had to face before is very difficult.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Now, you
But the
give me a
guys
couple of years there, I think I could like slowly get better and like be one of the better players. To right off the bat to start hitting pitching you never seen before is tough. To I mean, some
yeah.
pitches just don't move the same way that you guys throw. So it's just hard, dude. Just maybe too lofty of an expectation, but I understand where the expectation comes from.
It's like I think guys like Eric Thames or, I'm trying to think maybe other hitters or pitchers over there like James Nail over there or Eric Fetty, those
very
guys who go over there in Korea, I'm sure there's obviously like Miles Michaelis in Japan, and I'm sure plenty of hitters who have gone over there their first year and they just absolutely dominate. And then,
Mhm.
that's what the foreign teams are looking for. It's like the
Yeah,
next
yeah, for
guy,
sure.
to do that. And then, it's us who are like kind of like a rung below and we're like, hey, this is a good season for us. And
Yeah,
they're like,
like we
well,
had a good year.
it's good here, but we need
Yeah,
MVP, not
yeah.
young stuff.
I mean, it's I again like the mental pressure is something we've already covered on this podcast, and I think we'll continue to cover because I think it's just like to be expected to perform in that environment is I mean, place anyone who does any job in a completely different environment and expecting them to perform in their first week, first month, first half year, sort of a crazy mindset. But with baseball players, we're like, yeah, you you go and hit 300, Dave, and you hit homers. Go and hit homers, and it's like, yeah, I've never seen that picture before though in my life, so
Never. I've
not
also
easy.
never hit 30 homers, but those were expectations. So it's just
Yeah.
like some of the
Why
expectations that are
didn't you hit
had.
30 homers? Come on,
I just
Dave.
don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
It's like you're
Or
like
med
it's
ball,
like, hey,
Japanese
why
med ball
can't
era.
you jump 40 inches? And it's
Yeah,
like
you
because I
just
just
can't.
can't do genetically. I can't do that. My genetics have me at like 15, 20 max. Okay, I can't do more than that.
Yeah.
And that's still a good season though. But Tyler, bring me back briefly though to opening day because I think Tomoyuki Sugano, like who now pitches for the Orioles in the MLB, obviously he gets hurt, right? And suddenly you're starting opening day. Can you sort of take me back to that day and that sort of conversation? Like what was going through your head at the time?
Yeah, that was a whirlwind of a week. Yeah, like you said, Sagano kind of had gotten hurt, pulled himself from a start about like a week or so prior to opening day. Togo, Jose Togo, he was pitching the World Baseball Classic and then wasn't lined up for opening day. So those were really the two options. And then it came down to me and Foster Griffin. Griff's still over there. He's had a heck of a career in Japan. I would imagine comes back stateside after the season and gets a big league deal, I would hope. And we were kind of like the 1-2 option there at that time. And I think because of the experience that I've had pitching in the big leagues, I think it just gave me a little bit of an edge for that spot. So pulled me aside, gave me the opening day nod, and then we went through kind of the whole first week pre-opening day ceremonies, and when we're kind of in front of our fans and season ticket holders and the whole community and the press, and our manager introducing me as the opening day starter. Like David was referring to earlier, like I was the first year player to ever be opening day starter. Rightfully so, in terms of like, it has to be a domino effect of things to happen for that to ever take place. Did I earn it? I would say, like, I threw well in spring training, but it wasn't that I went in there and stole the ace spot on the team. Just lined up well, and then became really like it was a phenomenal first start. I competed well. We were in a spot to win the game, and then unfortunately lost it, and that would have been my only win overseas in Japan. So that would have been nice to get out of the way early. But it was incredible. I felt the support of the fans. So electric. I mean, the only thing was I couldn't warm up on the field before the game. I had to warm up like an hour before the game because the lights were off. As you know, like the opening day ceremonies and the theatrics and the people, coming in on a zip line over the center field. It's like, there's so much going on, laser shows, light shows.
They did it up at the Tokyo Dome. I do
They
know
did it
that.
up.
It was awesome there, like all
Yeah.
the pregame stuff.
Oh, and it was incredible. And yeah, no, I just remember like how electric it was from like, an hour before the game all the way through. Yeah, something I'll never forget. And honestly, like the honor of it is still kind of gives me moments of awe throughout when I think about it. So
Yeah, for sure. Was your preparation, obviously you couldn't prepare on the field, but was your preparation to face certain guys different? Like they hit differently, like they are contact, kind of more horizontally. Their shoulders are working more horizontally,
flat.
and their bat path is kind of flat through the zone. So certain pitches don't usually work as good as other pitches over in Japan. Or, I mean, there's some guys that are kind of creating that American style swing where they're kind of getting behind the ball and trying to lift it a little bit more. But there's a lot of guys where like they're trying to just slap this ball, and like if they'll hit balls somehow that like I've never even seen balls hit in certain spots before, like.
And one thing to add to that is like the amount of foul balls they have. Like
Yeah.
they can just hit it foul for 10, and you're like, okay, yeah, by your facial expression, I can tell you that you want to delve into a story. So go on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so true. Like their swing and their preparation. You watch their preparation. There's millions of videos on Instagram, social media of like how these guys are training hand-eye coordination and just the ability to hit at different angles and different positions of their body. So that way they're never in a spot where a guy throws a pitch in a certain location at a certain time that they can just at least foul the ball off. I mean, I had plenty of outings where that was the case. And I'm throwing pitches that I think would strike out the best players in the world, and they're just like fouling them off or putting them hopefully in play somewhere. Like Dave was saying, like they'll hit a ball and it's like you can't shift over there because those guys they spray the ball everywhere. That there's no semblance of a plot for consistency of where they're hitting it.
Literally.
It's very impressive. Obviously
It's impressive, and it's like, how are they doing it?
Right, exactly. And I think it goes back to their training. Like you get what you train for. Those guys aren't like Murakami is training to hit tanks, right? So his average is going to be lower and he'll get his tanks. Those other guys are just training to ball and play. Like I've faced guys who their sole purpose of being in the lineup was to foul balls off. Like you'll see that there's guys taking defensive swings from 0-0 all the way to 32, and it's like, get this guy out of the lineup. This is like, come on. Dugout celebrating when he just fouls balls off because you're getting the pitcher up to 100 pitches as quick as possible. But
that doesn't mean anything, though. Japanese guys are going to throw 140,
That's true.
It means something for you. You're out after 100, but they're throwing 140.
Which is, and they'll throw 140 the next day in a bullpen if they're not happy with it.
Yeah.
Are there any sort of players that or at bats that sort of stick in the back of your head where you go, that guy was just impossible to get out?
Yeah, you'd have to remind me of his name. He's on Shinichi Takahashi. Yep. Those two guys at the top were tough, and they weren't historically like a good team, Shinichi. But I remember those two guys like going through their reports, like 0 swing and miss, and they actually had ball skill to actually have some pop on the ball too. Those guys were tough to get out. I mean, again, I wouldn't say there was any easy outs. There were some of those guys who are trying to mimic the American swing. Those guys were, you know, were my outs in the lineup that I circled as like swing and miss. These guys will expand the zone historically there to foul balls off, but there's some swing and miss there. And then, you kind of target the foreign players as well. Like those guys are in the lineup to have some thump. And I remember facing David, I threw him a changeup right down the middle for some reason. I thought that was,
rolled it over.
a good
Also,
pitch. And he thankfully helped me out because he knew we were going to be friends later on in life.
Yeah.
Before you
I
do
was
that,
like, I knew this guy is mask guy. I gotta be good to him. Gonna roll this over and then dink a fastball straight at the shortstop.
yeah, because we got to get back to this though, because Dave has got a photographic memory, so
I know exactly what happened.
This meeting in 2023 that took place. Obviously, being the nerd that I am, I went back through all the highlights and actually found it because why not?
Yes.
So we're gonna play this real quick, and you guys are gonna have to give me the full breakdown on this.
Okay.
Well, not so great at bat for you, Dave.
I mean, there's a lot of not so great at bats.
Great at bat.
Great at bat.
Clean shaven.
Bases loaded too.
Oh, I know.
Ah, so boy.
I'm telling you, dude. Like, I'm telling you, I was going through it at that point.
I feel bad.
I was literally contemplating, like, I was like, oh my gosh, like this sport just might not be for me. Like the Central League just got me, dude. When we did that interleague games, I was like, I just figured out some of the pitchers on our side of the league, and then we just faced a bunch of new random pitchers. And I think that was to go for 4 that night. And he hung a changeup first pitch, and I rolled it foul. And I was like, ugh, that stinks. And then he threw a fastball middle away. And I'm just mind-bogglingly late right to the shortstop. And I'm just like at first base, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I just can't. I hate baseball. I literally hate this sport. This is the worst sport ever.
Is baseball such a funny like illusion of reality, right? It's like, I could have easily given up a double down the line there, bases clearing, and you're immediately, the illusion is like, I'm the best. Like that's exactly what I needed. And I'm there thinking I just escaped. I've got the bases loaded, and I'm one pitch away from getting sent back down to the minors. And I thankfully get a double play. And I scream because I'm like, I survived another day. And the illusion of just like, we think it's the best or the worst.
Yeah, and I'm like, and that pitch was like, I'm contemplating retirement.
Yeah, I was contemplating calling myself the best 8th inning guy in the league.
Yeah,
at that point. No,
exactly. It's like pitch to pitch, dude. It's literally like at bat to at bat, game to game. You're like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And then like the next game, you're like, I'm the best. I'm the best there ever was.
Yamamoto or whatever, and you're like, I'm
like, no one can ever get me out. I'm running around the bases, and then like a month later, I'm rolling over.
Yeah, your future buddy gets you out, bases loaded at a Tokyo Dome.
Yeah,
I mean, but Tyler, you're in a unique situation now because you can give us a scouting report on David. What was the scouting report against David? Was it like just that, give him a soft fastball and then let him hit into a double play?
Like you were like 94, 95 then.
Yeah, there was some.
I mean, you didn't need to throw 94 to get David out. You could just do 91. 90's fine.
That's my happy zone, actually.
Yeah, no, I threw the ball historically in a spot where he should have hit it 450 feet.
Not 450. I don't even think I can do that. That's the problem we have here.
It depends on the baseball. We'll give you a torpedo bat and a juiced big league ball, and I think you got a shot.
Yeah, no, I have a shot.
We'll try this off season. We'll go back live ABs and we'll run it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
But give us the scouting. Give us the serious scouting report on him, though. Well, I know for sure he was hitting clean up probably that game of that year for the Lions, and then I know I give him
for part of it. Yeah,
I give him plenty of crap on this podcast, but he was actually really probably one of the best hitters the Lions had that year. So, what was sort of the scouting report on David?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much like if I were to compare scouting reports to any big league player, it was like Aaron Judge. Like I'm not giving this guy anything on the inner part of the plate. I gotta respect the juice on the inner part of the plate. I'm gonna try to stay away, and then I didn't do any of that. I think it was like, don't throw anything that's leaking back into the barrel, which I gave him like twice.
He gave me 2 pitches, and I wasn't right that day. or I wasn't right that last couple weeks, you know.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
didn't really
And that's
matter at that
and
point.
that's hitting, right? That's like
Yeah, that's
hitting. It's
hitting.
like,
That is hitting.
you could get the pitch in your turbo zone, and it's like some days you roll over, and other days you're hitting ammo tanks. And so, but yeah, I would have preferred to have thrown him, pitches on the outer rail consistently, and just had him, you know, do the same thing.
Do the
Yeah.
same thing.
And when I'm right, that ball gets hit to right, you know, or like right, you know,
Exactly.
but I wasn't right there. You made a good pitch, and like the worst that should happen would have been a single, you know. So,
Yep.
I mean, the worst that happened for me was what happened.
Yeah, and that's why I came on the show. If you got a hit,
yeah,
if you got a hit and we're driving some runs, I would have said, I'm not free. I'm not free.
Yeah.
I got a busy schedule here in Indy ball.
Who were you most impressed by on your team? Pitcher, hitter?
Yeah. No, I mean, Taisei, our closer, like
Oh, yeah, he was disgusting.
just ridiculous. I mean, the mobility, like his ability to throw upper nines, with the way that he holds it, I mean, it's ridiculous. He was a beast. Sakamoto, he's like the Derek Jeter of Japan. I just loved watching that guy go about his day-to-day business.
That
He
dude,
was kind of suave. He was
good.
kind of suave, like
Yeah.
really cool guy. He played for 20 years at that point. Man, honestly, like I got to be on a team that had studs, like the lineup 1 through 9. Like we probably had the most.
You guys had a
homers.
really good hitting lineup.
We had a really good hitting lineup, and so, man, I know I'm leaving guys out, but I would just leave it for those.
That's
two
gonna
guys.
happen. I try to name all these guys. I'm like, I keep thinking of new people, you know.
Yeah, I would say like Sagano at the time watching him. I remember I like understood why he hadn't gone to the MLB yet, but then I also realized like this dude is really, really good. He can just shape every pitch, and obviously, as you see on the big league stage now, like he has the ability to have a ton of success. And so I remember thinking like this guy can absolutely paint the corners, and he has a sweeper that I don't think really got over there yet, and seemed like he was ahead of his time, but also obviously super polished and experienced over there.
Yeah, I mean, you again, I think you played on a team that was quite rare to watch, even back in 2023 when I was over there too. So I went and saw them play, and like the lineup was filthy. Like it's just Okamoto, we haven't even mentioned.
I know
The guy,
exactly.
dude,
I mean,
it's just ridiculous. We'll
it's just a 4-hitter for Samurai Japan.
dude's insane. Like, and I think especially it's funny that you mention it, because we feel like for this podcast, why we do the podcast is like to introduce people to these players that they've never heard of. Part of the reason, at least. And the funny thing is, like, you played with these guys, and it's so hard to remember all of them because it is essentially such a talented league, the MPB.
It is.
Looking back, what would you like people to sort of understand about playing in Japan and playing for the Giants? I am not asking you to have sort of the sort of grocery store conversation like, oh, what was it like playing in Japan? But
Yeah.
what would you like people to understand what it was like playing there?
Man, it was that's a great question. I think it's probably the most like first class operation that I think you can experience. The way that they treat you, how clean, the city is, how respectful the people are, how safe it is for your family to just know that they're on the train going around. They put you up in a really great spot. They make you feel as comfortable as possible in a new country, far, far from your home. And, it's like as best of a situation as you can think of from there. And then the team, like I would say, it was interesting how our teammates were so open to us learning Japanese or them trying to learn about us, and the sense of humors that they have. I don't know why I wasn't anticipating the sense of humors that they had to be there, but they were always making you laugh and always trying to play jokes. And that was like refreshing because I thought it was going to be very militant, very like they were like always kind of trying to be disciplined and do their work and stay focused, which they locked in when they needed to lock in, but they were also jokesters too, which was lighthearted and good to be around for sure.
Well, you were dealing with a bunch of vets too for the most part, so
a lot of vets.
So definitely different. I had a lot of younger guys, so like part of it was militant, where the vets were more fun. So it was definitely
that's a good point.
Yeah, but let me tell you, the vets enjoy their jokes and they enjoy having fun.
Yes, they do.
Is there any anecdote that you can give us, Tyler?
Yeah, probably. Maybe I shouldn't even say these things on here. the funnier instances are like they smoke a lot of heaters over there too,
Lots of
right? It's
heaters.
like
Lots of heaters are smoked.
I remember at one point in spring training, I was like, I want to like be a part of the team. I want to show them that I'm like committed to be a part of the team, build some team camaraderie. And so they were all ripping heaters in the smoking tent one day. And I was like telling my translator, I was like, you think it's a good idea if I just go in there and just try to rip a heater, just to, you think they'd be open to it? So I go in there and I'm like, signaling like, like let me get one. And they're like, are you sure? Like, you don't have to do this. Like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, sure, pretending like I've smoked heaters before in my life. This is gonna be my first cigarette. I'm thinking like, it's not gonna be that bad. It's gotta be like a cigar, right? He lights my cigarette, and I'm in there with all these guys, and everybody's doing their thing, speaking Japanese. I got no clue what's going on, but I'm just sitting in the corner, like ripping my cigarette, and I'm thinking like, I'm like dying over here. I'm not
You
doing
can't
this right for
inhale, dude.
sure.
You can't inhale.
No, I know. I don't know what I was thinking, dude. I don't know what I was thinking, man.
That's hilarious.
All of a sudden, they're just like, like, you're good. Like, don't worry about it. I put it out after like two rips of the thing. But, they were laughing, but I think they appreciated maybe my
Yeah.
attempt at trying
Yeah, for
to
sure.
fit in. But thankfully, that didn't become a bad habit for me.
Well, at least you've given us the thumbnail of the episode. You in the smoking room with.
That's exactly. I mean, but it's like you try to fit in. I get that totally.
Yeah,
You try to
totally
be
get
one
it.
of the boys. It makes total sense. You just want to be on the team.
And you just want to make a connection too, right? You just
Yeah.
want to make a connection to these guys, even if you don't speak the language. At least you can hold the same cigarette and pretend you to like it for two.
Yeah. I pretended as long as I could. Yeah.
What was the fan experience like, particularly playing in Tokyo? I can imagine that it's different than some of the other cities that you've been to in the world. What was just a general Japanese fan experience like?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy actually. Like I went to Disney Sea with my family in Tokyo, and I got recognized a handful of times. And I just remember thinking, like, obviously, I might stick out like a sore thumb in some places over there, but the fans really, really love the game of baseball, and they do not want you to feel any anger, disappointment, or anything, and they'll actually proceed to give you the more support on times that you're not really having a lot of success. At least most of them, like probably 95%. There were some that were still saying some things for some reason that got translated on my Twitter that I'm like, "Oh, that's okay." But for the most part, incredible support and love, and they make you feel at home, and it's really cool. That's probably one of the top three things that I would say about playing in Japan are the fans and the way that they make you feel, and the support that they have for you. It's really awesome.
And lastly, for you, is there anything that American fans or foreign fans get wrong about Japanese baseball, or maybe a perception you had before coming over there where you thought, well, I was wrong on that?
Mm. That's a good question. I think like everybody always talks about the talent level, and I think the question I get asked a lot is like, how would it compare to, AAA or big league baseball? And obviously, you have your, Sasaki's, Yamamoto's, Otani's. Like, there's elite players, and there's a lot of guys that I would say would be capable of playing in the big leagues, but they don't want to go over and be apart from their family and be apart from the culture. So I would say, like, for the stars that do end up going to play in the big leagues and get signed to $100 million contracts, there are, I don't want to say like equally as talented, but I would say like very, very close in comparison talent to those guys that just choose to stay home and play. Like Sagano was one of them. He, decided to stay and play with, Tokyo for 3 or 4 extra years after his first kind of opportunity to get signed over there. And there's a lot of those guys. It's a very talented league. But a lot of, like David saying, like, these pitchers are super impressive, and it's pitches that you would never see,
Yeah.
stateside. And that's why I think like Japan is always going to be a front runner to win the WBC and like and things like that. So that's what I would say. It's just there is a lot of talent. They do expect you to go over there and have like a sub 3 ERA, but that doesn't mean that it's always a realistic, possible. I mean, look at Bauer, right? Like, he's the best pitcher. I would say one of the best pitchers in the world. Um, I think he's got like a high three potentially right now, and he's got the ability to be a sub 2 guy over there. So it just kind of shows the ability of the hitters.
Absolutely. Listen, Tyler, we could probably continue this conversation for a little longer, but we look forward to having you on the show again sometime in the future. But thanks for sharing your story. You've really been awesome.
Absolutely. Yorokonde. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Hi.
So is this where we like ask people where to subscribe to our podcast?
Yeah, dude, but like, don't come across as begging or something. People don't like that.
So we should not
Just
ask people.
Just subscribe to their podcast. I mean, it's probably the best
Yeah.
podcast named Pacific Swings out there, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would argue that's probably correct.
Yeah, so subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, be it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. As long as you have the basic technology, you'll be able to find us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe you could mention that we have weekly episodes and like who does what. Like I bring the vibes, you kind of fact check stuff
bring
and
vibes.
do everything
I'm
else.
just there to fact check stuff. Yeah.
And then potentially, I mean, Tyler's pretty good at this. You know, you never
Yeah,
know what's in
Tyler
the
might-
future.
Tyler might be better than you at this. Like,
Did I
to
crush
be-
the interview?
Yeah,
You crushed the
interview.
interview. Dude.
Hey, we'll show up in tuxedos next time, David. Me and you.
I would love it. We could do. Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, if you're at home at some point, you know, we could do this. You could be right over here next to me over here. And we could just do it
Live from the
together.
Lions, Dan.
Yeah, live from the. Oh, we could do live from the Lions Den.
Live from the Lions.
He owns a facility called the Lions Den.
See. But
So I might have to work there. I mean, it's the Lions
I thought you were a
Den.
big Giants guy. Like, in Dave's the Lions guy. This is just confusing.
I
Well,
know.
you know.
Anyway,
I have
this
David's
is-
jersey in the facility. He's got no other chance but to come and get it himself.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the most useless long outro of any podcast I've ever done.
Okay, I'll finish the episode with my Japanese sentiment. Here we go. Kako wa owari. Mirai wo watashi tachi wa dekimasen. Taisetsu nano wa kyou dake desu. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Dude, that's impressive.
That's really impressive. Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next week.